Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? This is your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang, and I'm here recording another great episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you live from the KU Dungeon in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, which is about, I'd say about 20 to 25 minutes away from downtown Annapolis, and it's cool. You know, it's great. I'm here in the dungeon, which is also known as Kicked Up Fitness, and it's incredible. You know, it's really awesome. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to my boy Sean Queen, who is the owner and proprietor of Kicked Up Fitness, because he is one of the very few people that really had given me a lot of opportunity. He has believed in what we do here with the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and he allowed us to periodically record here time after time, periodically, when I just wanted to record in person with a live guest or just solo. So I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, Sean. Thank you so much. If you want to check out, Kicked Up Fitness, go on the website. And it's a real good website. Let me just go ahead and pull out the information here. Right now I'm just trying to get all of this taken care of. I don't have my iPhone, but I do have my laptop here. So we'll see how this goes. If you go online, go to www.kufitnessnbp.com. There's all the information of all the, programs and classes and information about them. And if you actually act right now and get the information, including the phone number, you can actually go ahead and call them, talk to Sean, who is the owner, and he could probably hook you up with a 7-day free trial membership just to go ahead and check it out and see, if you like it. To me, I think it's a great place. It's awesome. They have all the basic needs and a whole lot more. And I just think that the vibe is incredible, man. Like, it's really, really cool. So, big ups to Sean Queen and Kicked Up Fitness. We love y'all. And, today we are actually going to be doing an episode which is going to be commercial free. So, no commercials. And I got a real good story about this because we are actually bringing back a segment that we usually do or have done, but it's been a while. I think the last time that we did something of this format was back in season 2, episode 34. And what we're going to be doing is that we are going to be bringing back our 21 question segment, which is a very long version of the Q&A session, which is basically 7 questions. The way that this kind of happened was that one day I was about to go for a walk around the neighborhood for some exercise, to work on some cardio. And I start walking, and one of my neighbors actually sees me, and he's like, "Yo, Kim, what's going on, dude?" And I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man? I'm just about to go ahead and get my exercise on, work on my cardio, and walk around the neighborhood and do my very best." And then he said, "Hey, let me join you. I could really use the walk myself. Plus, for the fact that, when more than one person, when you have 2 people exercising at the same time and kind of hanging out together, it's a good safety situation where it's a good step for safety, and you won't get into trouble." Which I believe him. Like, I get that, and it's true. When you actually are with another person, the level of danger of being harassed or being picked on or whatever will shrink. Definitely. So we got out there walking around, having a good time, sharing some laughs, talking about, regular stuff like music and movies and sports and so forth. And then he drops the bombshell and he's like, Kim, I'm a big fan of your podcast and I think it's incredible that you have a creative medium. But if I could throw a suggestion, I really would like for you to bring back the 21 questions segment that you've done before. I thought it was a well done segment. You answered a lot of questions and I think it's about time to bring it back. And I thought about it. I even thought about it when I got home and I said, you know what, this guy's absolutely right. I think it would be cool to bring back an old segment and have it as a full-length episode. So I called up a couple of my friends to pick up some questions that we kind of had, in stockpiled in our little archive. Questions that we haven't, chose to answer yet. For the reason that, just in case if we needed to have some questions and there weren't any good ones, we can just pick out like this one and it'll be all right. And it worked out. Some questions are, older and some are very recent, but I think I am up for the challenge to do another 21 questions. I have it in me and I think it's incredible and I think it's going to be fun. And without any further delay, I really want to get into it because I'm really excited for 21 questions. We don't know where it's going to go, but I do know I'm going to have a good time. So let's go ahead and do it. So in my hand, I have 21 questions. Let's go ahead and start it out. Question number 1. Kim, what are your thoughts on the situation between LA Laker LeBron James and ESPN personality Stephen A. Smith? Jenny from Dickerson, North Dakota. Jenny, that's a very interesting question. That's a good one, and I was completely shocked because I heard about it on ESPN's First Take, and Stephen A. Smith actually addressed it. What had happened was on a home game with the LA Lakers, LeBron James actually saw Stephen A. Smith, just sitting courtside in the front. So he goes over there and he basically calls him out and says, hey, I heard what you talked about when you were mentioning my son's name. I don't appreciate it. You need to keep you need to keep to yourself and keep the name of my son out of your mouth because I don't appreciate that stuff. And that to me is disrespectful to him. It's disrespectful to me. It's disrespectful to my family. And if you get out of line again, whatever. I heard Stephen A. Smith address it. And he had mentioned that he wasn't talking about Bronny James, which is LeBron's son. He was talking more about LeBron. Because it would kind of be unfair if, this situation happened. And by that I mean, it would have been unfair for Stephen A. Smith to go ahead and comment stuff about Bronny James being a professional basketball player in the NBA when he's in his rookie season. So, it just didn't make any sense to do that. Stephen A. Smith had said many a times, and I remember catching it, where he was saying a lot of great things about Bronny James whenever that he mentioned his name. From the fact that, he thinks that before he went to the NBA that he has a great future, from the health scare that he had about him needing some heart surgery and so forth. He's always been an advocate for Bronny James and being a big fan and a supporter. As far as I know that him and LeBron James, I wouldn't say they're the best of friends, but I do think that, they respect each other and they have one of those relationships where it's like, hey, I'm the critic and I'm going to say what I want, when it comes to LeBron James and holding him to a standard of how a player is supposed to be and so forth. And, you kind of get it, because in that world, you're going to have, sports reporters and sports personalities, some who haven't even played the game in that level, speak their piece. And sometimes, it might be a thing where, it's no dirt off my back, to it might be offensive to that player. I'm just hoping with this situation that Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James will work it out. They'll have like a private meeting or something about it, and chop shop and just talk like men, talk like real men, without the drama and all the unnecessary mumbo jumbo and BS and so forth. So that's the way that I'm going to take it, and that's where I'll go with it. Question number 2, Kim, what can I expect after earning a first-degree black belt in any style of martial art? Jorge from Frisco, Texas. You can expect, Jorge, that you're going to have a lot more responsibility now. After earning a first-degree black belt, you're going to have a lot more responsibility in not only learning what you need to learn in terms of like learning new material, but you still have to maintain the knowledge of the old material that you needed to display in order to earn your black belt. You also need to, start helping out within the class and the school by helping out other students that are non-black belts yet. Help them to learn the materials that they need to learn, like you did before you got to black belt, so that they themselves can actually excel and get to the next level, hopefully helping them get to that upper echelon of success that is the black belt world. Because being a black belt is the greatest achievement that anybody can ever get themselves to earn that position, to earn that right, because it says a lot. It's good for your martial arts career. It shows your growth and your maturity. It shows, how much you learned. And we as black belts at that point are held to a higher responsibility and a higher pedestal. We're way up there on the ladder now, you know what I mean? And the glass ceiling has been raised. Because now it's like, we have to make sure that we set an example for the next generation of the future black belts. And we got to make sure that they get exactly what they need, So just know that that's all part of the gig, man, when it comes to earning that first degree black belt. And even like a higher degree of black belt thereafter. You know what I mean? It doesn't stop there. It keeps evolving. But it's a beautiful, beautiful process. Question number 3. Kim, I've been hearing about Anchor products claiming to be that they're very good. Have you had any experience with their products? And if so, what do you think? Melissa from Dodge City, Kansas. Melissa, I have bought a lot of things from the Anchor company through Amazon Prime. I bought power bricks. I bought like wires, and they're incredible. I think with the wires, I think they're very durable. It's not like all plastic, you know what I mean? Like a plastic wire. It's like kind of like a mesh carbon fiber woven material that covers all the wires. So it's a little bit more durable and has a longer lasting lifespan, as opposed to like a traditional wire that's covered in like plastic or rubber material that like corrodes fast, and basically maybe like 2 months later that plastic material just deteriorates and you have the wire exposed. I think the power bricks are incredible because they do last for a very long time and it holds a lot of power. I've never had any complaints about the products that Anchor puts out there, and I think they do an amazing job with the products that they put out there. And I think the quality of the products that they put out there is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And I think that if you want to invest in something that is a sure thing, that will have a good shelf life, if you will, then anything anchor, like a power brick or wires, or even like one of those wireless rechargeable stations where you can just put your iPhone on the wireless charger and it can just charge that way. It's a great product. It's a great product. I like it, and I think it's awesome. And I think that anybody who's anybody should invest in this particular situation for sure. Question number 4. Kim, what do you like better, Under Armour or Nike? Kevin from Middletown, Delaware. This is going to be a real hard question. It's wow. It's something that's like breaking my heart right now, because I'm kind of torn, because you have one company that's like one of the best athletic companies for shirts and apparel and shoes, straight out of Baltimore, Maryland. And then you have an athletic company that's been doing it for years, that's synonymous with the sport world. But if I had to choose one, I'd choose Nike, because I like the fit better. I like the the way that their clothes feel very comfortable and not as tight and a little bit short. I like the comfort of the shoes that I wear on the Nikes, and it's incredible. Now, I'm not saying that Under Armour is wrong, and I'm not hating on Under Armour. I think it's great. I just don't think it works for me very well as much as Nike does. But I do have a couple of things of Under Armour, so I'm not hating 100%. It's just that, if I had to choose between the two, I think Nike stands out a little bit better for me. So that works out. Question number 5. Kim, I am facing a situation as an actor that I'm working with. And we're in the same fight scene where we're fighting each other. However, she's not pulling her weight, where all the stuff that she's doing is all wrong, and I'm doing my stuff correctly. Any advice? Rich from Williston, Vermont. That's going to be a hard question, because I understand your situation. Rich, you are a guy that, you probably are a trained martial artist, or you're somebody that is trained highly in stunts and in proper fight scenes and so forth. And you're working with somebody that does not have a lot of experience. What I would suggest is that, if there is something that bothers you about that, I would suggest bringing it with the stunt coordinator and the fight choreographer who is in charge of that situation, and try to build the scene a little bit better. Whether if it's you guys have to practice a lot of times in order to get it right, or you have to do something where, hey, we have to change things up. Because it doesn't do you any good if you're working with somebody that has zero experience and they are doing something where, unfortunately, you get harmed. Because at that point, people have to realize it's a safety issue. You want to be safe, and you want to do safe things, and you want that person to return the safety card back to you. But if they don't know what they're doing, it is a big point of concern. Deal with it in that way. Talk to the stunt coordinator and the fight choreographer. See if you can make it happen. And make sure that the director sees it, so that way they can see what's going on. And if they feel like there's something going wrong, they can make a decision at that point, whether or not if they need to change something, or they just might have to do something else, that is basically up to them. Whether they need to change a fight scene, or they have to scrap it, or something else. So I hope that helps out, man. I hope that helps out. Question number 6. Kim, do you think it's possible for an old dog to learn new tricks? Rachel from Shadyside, Maryland. Dude, what's going on? I know Shadyside. So it's not far from Edgewater. About, it's definitely a click away, but it's cool. And yes, I definitely do think it is possible for an old dog to learn new tricks. Just because you're older in age doesn't mean that you're not capable of picking up a new trick to learn. You know what I mean? Whether if it's learning a new language, whether if it's cooking up a recipe that you've never done before, or a physical feat. It's all possible. You know what I mean? You just have to really take your time, do your best, and do whatever it is that you can. If you make some mistakes, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end-all, be-all. But I would definitely take your time, learn it step by step, and once that you actually have learned all those steps, bit by bit, then that's when you can put it all together and you can actually go at a faster rate. Because now you already are familiar with what's going on. You know the steps. It's all about applying it and putting it together. So hopefully that works out. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, Rachel, I believe in you. I think that whatever it is that you want to do, let's do it. Let's run it. So, good times. All right. Next question. Number 7. Kim, what do you think about the questions you get for your Q&A? Winter from Rochester, New York. Some of the questions I get, I think they're really cool and they're fun. And sometimes depending on the question, I either feel very confident in answering it in such a way that I have no concern, or if it's a question that's definitely rocking me because I'm not too familiar with it, I may take my time. I might take my time to, focus on the question, think a little bit about what my response will be before I say it, and then announce it. It's always fun to answer a lot of questions that come from a lot of people when it comes to either asking about your podcasting style or your creativity or your opinions about certain things that happen in sports or whatever. I'm definitely a person that loves, the challenge, and I think that anytime that I'm doing a Q&A and I'm getting these questions, it's a challenge, but it's a fun challenge, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. So yeah, please believe I'm good. I'm definitely good. All right. Question number 8. Kim, do you have any advice for any person that wants to start a podcast? Trent from Jacksonville, Florida. Trent, I think you have to think of the following. Number 1, think about, what the content of your podcast is going to be. Number 2, you want to think about the target audience. And number 3, most importantly, when you have that established, make sure you get the equipment that you need and have fun. When it comes to our creative mediums and doing things like being a podcaster or being an actor or just, being a musician or whatever, you wanted to do it because it was for the love of the art. You weren't thinking about anything else. You were just saying, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have fun. It's going to be a great time. And guess what? We're going to do it. And, that's what podcasting is. It's just having a good time and doing it. As long as you have that in mind and you're not trying to put too much pressure on, I think it's a good thing. So, just make sure that you have all your ducks in a row before making that very first episode. And, after that, just take that as a learning step. and then you'll be good to go. At least that's my opinion. Question number 9. Kim, which instrument would you want to learn and practice between a regular guitar and a bass guitar? Victoria from Peoria, Illinois? Yeah, Peoria, Illinois. Okay. I think I would actually learn the guitar first. I feel like the bass is a little bit more challenging. There's a lot that's going on there. They always say when you're learning a string instrument anyways, between the bass and the guitar, learn the guitar first, because then you'll understand fingering and chords and notes and so forth and positioning. You'll understand that better, and then when you start learning the bass, then it's like, okay, now I'm starting to build, I'm starting to understand the pieces that are being built. So yeah, hopefully that you'll be able to pick whatever it is that you want, if that's the case, and stick with it. So I wish you luck. I wish you the best of luck in this situation. Question 10. Kim, the Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out this year in 2025. Facts. What do you think? Teresa from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Teresa, I'm actually looking forward to the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out this year. And I actually caught the official commercial for that console on the YouTube channel of Nintendo. I think so far, from what I understand, it's really cool because it's a bigger screen. The Joy-Con, instead of sliding it in the system, it's more magnetic. Standard 4K. It's incredible. But we don't know a lot about what's going on, the games that are coming out, the accessories that are associated with this product, the price point. There's a lot of things that we don't know and that we're very uncertain of. But if it's anything like its predecessors in terms of past Nintendo gaming systems or consoles, if you will, I think we're going to be in for a good treat. What I like about the Nintendo Switch 2 is that you can actually play your old Switch games on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's transferable, whether if it's like, you know, the physical game itself, the cartridge, or whether you actually have downloaded it for online play. You can access it. It's yours and it's good to go. I just really want to know more about the hardware situation, about how much internal memory it has, and how much that you can actually bump up the memory capacity, whether if you can bump it up to like a terabyte or 2 terabytes or 3 terabytes. I want to know that stuff, and I feel like we'll be able to know more information on that subject as the days turn into weeks, into months, until we get closer to that gap, so it's going to be awesome though. I mean, anything that's Nintendo is going to be amazing. I'm definitely pumped. I'm definitely pumped for sure. For sure. It's going to be amazing. Question number 11. Kim, recently Subway sub shops are closing down faster than the speed of light. What are your thoughts? Vanessa from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Vanessa, I'm really saddened about that because I do like Subway. I think their subs are really, really good. And for a lot of their locations to really close down rapidly is just making me think that maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that they are hanging it up and they're no longer going to be around anymore. It's kind of the same way. There was a sub shop called Quiznos that was definitely the talk of the town, and it was supposedly a lot better, and a lot of them closed down to even now that you can't even find one Quiznos out there, I believe. So the fact that happened, I was really shocked. I had a Subway sub shop near my way within walking distance. They closed that down. My favorite Subway sub shop location at my favorite mall closed down, so it's not there anymore. And I'm just like thinking, man, this is a shame, a crying shame. So I don't really, the only thing I can really say is that it sucks that this type of situation is happening, and I wish that they would find some kind of way to kind of, save whatever assets that they have, and just concentrate on the locations that are practical or that are still there, and maybe something good will come out of it. I don't know. Not sure. All right, halfway there, because now we are on the other side of the page. So let's do it. Question number 12. Kim, what are your opinions about competing in martial art tournaments? Is it necessary? William from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. William, it really depends on the school that you go to. I think it's, sometimes they make it a requirement. Sometimes they don't make it a requirement. I do think that competing in martial art tournaments are fun. And I think there is a practical reasoning behind the martial art tournament, because it's a great proving ground to test your ability and knowledge of what you have learned from the martial art. And hopefully, when you compete, you just do your very best. I know when I competed in my first tournament ever, I was nervous. I was petrified. I was thinking to myself, man, what did I get myself into? But my first tournament was pretty cool because it was literally at a local high school in Annapolis, Maryland, where I grew up. So it wasn't like I was traveling far, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like I was doing it for trying to get ranked or trying to, compete in like the big tournaments. I just wanted to have my experience. And, I did well. I would say to everybody out there, and excuse me as I'm going to cough. Excuse me. It's not required for you to compete, at least in my opinion. However, I think that once you get the one out, it's like, hey, at least you can say you did it and it was over with. Some, you might actually say, hey, it was so fun competing that I should do it again, And it's in that sense, I think that's really, really cool. So, whatever it is that you want to do, if you want to compete, awesome. If you don't. If you have to compete in one before you reach black belt, I would definitely do it, get it over with, get that first and only experience possibly, and that's it. So, that's all I have to say about that. Question number 13. Kim, Cobra Kai series from Netflix has come to an end. I'm feeling sad about it, so how do you feel about it? Ashlyn from Rapid City, South Dakota. Oh, man. I'm with you. I'm a little bit saddened. I'm a little bit disappointed because, for 6 seasons, Cobra Kai has graced Netflix, and it was incredible. I'll go as far as saying that I was such a huge fan that I remember when Cobra Kai season 1 debuted over on YouTube Red. It wasn't on Netflix back in the day until like maybe season 2 when they bought it out. But even still, I tuned in to all 6 seasons. I enjoyed the storylines, and I liked the fact that they made an offshoot from the original Karate Kid movie. They got the original actors back, and William Zabka, who played Johnny Lawrence, and Ralph Macchio, who played Daniel LaRusso. It was years later, so they actually had to make some kind of a storyline built around that and so forth. And I think that it was cool to see new characters, upcoming actors, and just their abilities, and the fact that, you know, we saw them grow up, and we saw, you know, all the new styles of stunts and fight choreography come together in this project. I don't know what's going to happen after this point, because I feel like, you know, it technically it came to an end. You know, there was an end of an era. There have been rumors that people are thinking about, we're going to make a spin-off of Cobra Kai. I do know that the Karate Kid Legends movie is coming out in May of this year, of 2025, and I'm looking forward to that. I think it's incredible, you know, and I really want to see what Ralph Macchio's character and Daniel LaRusso is going to do, and the fact that Jackie Chan is coming back from his version of the Karate Kid, which basically there was no karate in it. It was all kung fu. But, you know, what his character, Mr. Han, is, you know, how his involvement is with this new particular movie that's going to be shooting out, or it's going to be debuting out in May. So I don't know, we'll see. Like, I'm definitely going to see it for sure. I'm definitely going to see it. I'm definitely going to watch it, and I think it's going to be incredible. Whatever happens after that, I don't know. You know, we'll see. I mean, will I like it? We'll find out. We'll find out. I know there's going to be some people that are going to be like, yeah, I want to watch it, and I think it's going to be cool. There's already people that I know personally that has given their disapproval of the project and will not watch it, and they're, you know, for whatever reason it is. And I'll just say it like this: whatever happens, happens. But when May comes around, I will catch that movie. Yes. Question 14. Kim, have you ever acted in projects that were bad and/or never made it? Edward from Bemidji, Minnesota. Edward, yes and yes. I have acted in projects that were really bad. I've also acted in projects that unfortunately never made it. I will give you an example that, you know, the project that never made it was a project that was promised that would have been in a lot of online streaming services like Tubi and Prime Video, that it was going to go to a lot of these like filming events all around the United States, you know, all these, like, you know, like the film circuits, that it was going to go over to this film festival and this film festival and this film festival. And, you know, with the people that I was working with, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, you know. And what it was is that it was going to be like, sort of like, the concept and the idea was that it was supposed to be kind of like Cobra Kai-ish, but kind of dark. And let's just say, for the sake of saying it, and for the safety, that it just didn't work out. It just was not a good thing. There was another project that I worked on that was really bad, that you know, during that time, every local actor in the state of Maryland and Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia were all balls to the walls about this project because it had a lot of good buzz. The director was, at least from my opinion and from what I know, a first-timer, a green guy. And, you know, he was building this thing up where he was saying, yeah, you know, we're going to do a lot of great things. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. We have an A-lister actor by the name of Ron Perlman, who's been in Hellboy and Blade 2 and Sons of Anarchy. He is going to be a part of this cast. we were all about it, and we were like really singing the praises. I remember that his girlfriend at the time was one of the principal actors in this film, and I was surprised because, you know, everybody went through a audition process, but this person didn't. And, you know, just being in this project and being a product of this person's leadership and just how it went, it really disappointed a lot of people, just like it disappointed a lot of people with that first project that I mentioned. Once it disappointed, you know, a lot of actors, everybody said that they would never work with that director ever again, you know. And that just goes to show you, man, some projects, you know, it's like, hey, if it happens, it does happen. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I understand how a person can feel bad about it, because for some people, they wasted their time. They invested, you know, their time in a project that either never was, or a project that just ended up to be terrible. Some people even traveled a long distance catching a flight, you know, from different states just to be on that set, only for a project to never happen. Or they would travel 8 hours away just to be on the set to show that they're a professional and not to have a finished project. It's sad, you know. It's demoralizing, and it's one of those things where, with those type of individuals, and, you know, unsaid names of said individuals, you never want to work with them ever again, because, you know, with that reputation and what has happened, you know, who would want to work with somebody like that? You know, I would like to work with somebody that's very professional, that's driven, that's going to get the job done, that has the right energy, and has the ability to have that energy, you know, like to give it to their actors and for them to return that energy back to them. That's my take. But I'm not going to say any more. I'm just going to keep it to myself, and, you know, I'm just going to just say this. All the opportunities I had, I'm thankful. I met some good people along the way, and those friendships are going to continue to be built. You know what I mean? It's just now, you know, time has passed and we got to move on. That's the bottom line. Question number 15. Kim, is Eminem the best rapper that ever lived? Trish from Hancock, Michigan. Okay. I wouldn't say that he's the greatest of all time and the best rapper that ever lived, but I definitely would put him out there in the Mount Rushmore of rappers. You know, he's one of the best rappers to ever do it. You know, and I like his style. I like what he did. You know, from the first album, you know, to you know, the latest album, the Marshall Mathers LP really did it for me. You know, I think it was incredible. Matter of fact, let me take a look at this real quick, so I can get this right, because I don't want to mess this up. The Slim Shady LP was the first mainstream one, and then the Marshall Mathers LP. Those two did it very well for me. I liked it. I thought it was incredible. And then, you know, the Eminem show, and then Encore, and then it just kind of went on and on to different types of like albums and so forth. He's done a lot for his career, and I think it's incredible of what he's done. And I'm just really happy to be a fan of his work. I know a lot of people that have said a lot of things and so forth, and a lot of people have said, you know, some that sing, you know, Eminem's praises, and then there's some people that are just like, I don't think so, you know. So But I just feel like, hey, I think he's done a great job in his career. I wish him the best of luck, and many blessings to him. I hope that he continues to make more great albums. I really do, and I hope that it's the album that he creates brand new, that it's just going to be a banger after banger after banger. Because if I remember correctly, at least from my recollection, I don't remember anything after his Kamikaze album in 2018. I know there was one, I think, that he did called Music to Be Murdered By, but I don't remember anything else after that. Not to my recollection. But I think at this point, Eminem has done so much, and he's basically built a legacy, and he definitely has done so much for himself, making all these albums, a lot of tours, making that money. At this point, it's kind of like, does he really need to do anything else? I don't know. But if he does, I'm definitely subscribing, no doubt. Number 16, Kim, is there a karate uniform that you would not recommend purchasing? Raymond from Eldridge, Iowa. There are two companies that I don't recommend. One of it is actually local here in the DMV. The other one is kind of known worldwide, and at least the United States of America gets their product. Now, I want to preface by saying that both companies aren't bad. I just think that collectively, from what I've experienced and what others have told me, that the uniforms itself are not good. We're not talking about the company as a whole. We're not talking about the other stuff that they sell, like sparring equipment or training devices. We're just talking about uniform. Locally in the Baltimore, Maryland region, there is a martial arts store called Warrior Emporium. Now, they're good. They sell brand name shoes and brand name equipment and uniforms, but they have their own line of stuff. I've bought a Warrior Emporium uniform. Unfortunately, it didn't last. I don't know what it was, but I feel like the house uniform was not very good. Now, again, I'm not disrespecting the company. I think that, what they sell is amazing. I think it's great for the martial arts community in the state of Maryland. I met the owners, and they're incredible people, lovely people, great people. And I would do business with them in a heartbeat. I just can't get down with their uniforms because, I think the quality of cotton is not as good. And it just turns out to be a uniform that probably does not last very long. You might get it good for like a month or two, but in the long run, no. Same thing with this other brand that I'm going to tell you about, Proforce. Great company for, martial arts equipment, with sparring equipment and training equipment, but their uniforms are not good. I've owned two of their uniforms, one heavyweight and one lightweight. They were good for about 6 months at the most. And then next thing you know, whoosh, that sucker ripped. And it wasn't even for the fact that, I was gaining weight or anything. It was just the fact that the quality of the material really was terrible. I was really shocked about it. I was like, what in the world is going on here? I did not like this situation, and it is what it is. You know, I've since then have grown a little bit wiser, and I've picked companies that work well for me and my need. So, you know, I'll stick with them. But overall, though, you know, again, Proforce is a good company. Also, Warrior Emporium, great company, great local martial arts store. Definitely support the local business. And that's all I'm going to say. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Question number 17 is, Kim, is there a certain type of cuisine that you would never eat? Mona from Yonkers, New York. All right. Mona, I would never eat Ethiopian food. And the reason behind that is that every time that I've had Ethiopian food, the presentation is not good. Plus, it's just a weird type of smell that I just can't agree with. And I follow a rule. If it looks good on the plate and it smells good, chances are it's going to be a great dish and you're going to enjoy eating it. And that is 99% true, at least from my experience. When I tried Ethiopian food, it didn't sink to me. It really didn't. I tried, and I'm not saying, you know, that the restaurant was bad. I'm just saying that the food was not good for me and my palate and what I wanted to do. But at least I tried. And the thing about it is that there is a rule that you have to try the food at least one time, just to see, you know, if it's something that you like. And if it is, cool, you know, definitely go for it, and it's incredible. If it's something that you don't like and you're just like, this is not me, I totally get it, 100%. You know, there's certain you know, foods and cuisines and cultures that, you know, one can't get down with, and I get that, you know. And for me, it's Ethiopian food. I'm just not down with it. That's just not my style, and it is what it is. So yeah, we're moving on, guys. Question number 18, Kim, the air fryer, good investment or a waste of money? Max from Glendale, California. Max, 100% a good investment. It's great. The fact that you can actually buy something and it cooks the food and it cooks it in a healthier way without needing any oil or anything of that sort. And you can just do a thing where you just put the food in, you set it, and you let it ride. Boom, there it is. And I really like it. I think it's incredible. I think it's very fail safe, you know what I mean? Like, it's a sure thing. The only thing that I don't like is that I would like to have air fryers to actually produce more temperature. You know, like, I would like my air fryer to be shooting up to 500 to 550 degrees, you know what I mean? And I think that's important because, you know, you want to have the option of how you cook the thing, whether if you want to cook it like intensely or if you want to take it like the slow and safe approach. But I know that the more heat that it bumps up, then the more money that you'll spend because it's going to be a bigger expense for that particular device. If that's the case, I'm like, okay, you know, I get it. But overall, I do believe that, you know, having an air fryer is a great investment. I think every household should have one, in my opinion. I think that's something that it should be like, hey, you know, it's like saying that every household has like a toaster for their toast, or a toaster oven or something like that. Now let's just make an air fryer a standard appliance to have in your home. You know, it's quick, it's easy, it's fun. You can make a heck of a lot of things with it. I mean, I just used mine the other day to make pizza rolls and French fries, and just to, you know, hit the button, beep, and it cooks. Dude, it's on point. On point. Loving it. I love my air fryer, and I actually want to get another one. I want to get a more powerful one. But, that's just my opinion. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to, I'm just going to go, save up some money, get a bigger and better air fryer that bumps up more power, and that's it. That's all that there is to it. All right. Question number 19. Kim, how do you feel about the WWE being on Netflix for such shows now as WWE Raw and other stuff? And that came from Meadow of Mansfield, Texas. Meadow, I really thought that was a real good deal on the WWE's part, because there are some people that have Netflix but they don't have cable, and it was being on the USA Network on cable for quite a while, for many years. This is a great deal for the WWE because they came out on top, being that they actually got like billions of dollars, that they're earning now in revenue for that. And the fact that, every time that I watch Raw now on Netflix, it's absolutely incredible. Like it's literally in the resolution of 4K, and it's totally amazing, totally awesome. I'm loving it. It's great, and it's cool, and I just hope that later on in life, because in the United States, if you're going to watch WWE pay-per-view events like WrestleMania or something like that, you can only watch it on Peacock television. Whereas if you're international, all WWE content is on Netflix. So I'm hoping that, in the United States at least, that, WWE content and all the stuff that they have in their collection will go all strictly to Netflix, and we'll start getting like live events only on Netflix. So that's how I feel about it. I think it's cool, and I think it's incredible. So yeah. Question 20. Kim, you've answered a question back in episode 1 of season 4 about failures and the Vietnamese culture. Can you explain that more in detail? Morris from Big Sky, Montana. There was a young lady. Her name is Tao, from San Jose, California, who is a teacher. Tao is Vietnamese because she spells her name Thao. In the Vietnamese culture, and I can't say for all Vietnamese cultures, but where I grew up and from what I've seen, it's very competitive. If you're not a doctor, if you're not a lawyer, if you're not an engineer, if you don't make 6 figures, you are considered to be a real big failure. You know what I mean? And it's sad, because when I heard about, Tao being a teacher and how her parents thought that she was a failure, the first thing I thought in my mind was, I think it's cool that she's a teacher. Teaching the next generation of kids to be really good citizens. At least, better than the previous generation, which is us. And I think it's incredible how she's very passionate about it. But it hurts my feelings and it breaks my heart when her family basically says that she's a failure because she's a teacher and not an engineer, not a medical doctor, not a lawyer. And I'm like, what kind of measuring stick are you even, using in terms of measuring success? Because if it's a measuring stick that you're using, or, the measuring stick that you were raised with years ago from, your family members and your parents, I got to tell you, those days are over. Now these days, you can still be a success and not have that type of stress or title. You don't need to be an engineer to be a success. You don't need to be a doctor to be a success. And I think that In my opinion, when you have parents like that, they're basically pushing their dreams upon their children, because maybe years ago they had an opportunity to do that and they never took it. And the fact that, maybe they were in the same boat as their children, and then the parents before them basically kind of said something a little bit similar. It's just a reflection. And I think that Vietnamese parents, if you do that, or just anybody in general that does that, you need to stop. It's that type of crap that builds a lot of anxiety and frustration. It turns people against each other, especially like children turning against parents, because they basically push them to that boiling point, to that breaking point. And I think that you need to leave it alone. I think that if people are truly happy with what they're doing in life, it's not a crime. So if Tao, as a teacher in San Jose, California, in the education system, teaching the next generation of good people, of great potential people that can change the world, there's nothing wrong with that. We need to have more educators out there in the world, man, and I think it's important. Last question. Kim, at the end of the day, what are your hopes and your dreams and your wishes for your podcast show? Gina from Elk City, Oklahoma. They're one and the same. My hope is to create great content for everyone to enjoy. And my hope is that people listen to it and they take something good out of it. My hope is that maybe, something good will, some great opportunity will lead me to, that big level of opportunity and hope through this, podcasting endeavor. My wish and my dream is that this podcast makes it very big. And maybe I might be able to make a lot of money out of it through sponsorships and, great deals, to the point where I'm moving over maybe in, LA. I'll have my own studio, or I'll be working in a studio, whatever, and get paid millions and millions of dollars, like Joe Rogan or Stephen A. Smith or even Steve Harvey, because they're podcasters. They made it. You know what I mean? And it's incredible. I want to have a lot of followers, and I want people to say, that Kim is a real amazing dude. He's very talented. He has made a great product in his podcast show. Everything that he says makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I'm just hoping big, shooting for the moon. If I miss, I'm still amongst the stars. And I think that's it. That's all I have to say. This has been awesome. It really has been awesome. Let me go ahead and do some closing notes. It's going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to do my very best. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and say the following. Real quick, I want to say that the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking for help on a voluntary basis to anyone who would like to assist our podcast show by the ways of sponsorship and/or financially donating to the podcast to help make the quality of our podcast show better. All proceeds that we raise will go towards getting more equipment and better equipment that we need, such as microphones for our in-studio guests and the XLR cables for those microphones, headphones for our in-studio guests, and even a MacBook Pro, so that we can have the best hardware and the up-to-date software that's required in creating these episodes. Now here's the joke. Donate whatever you want. Now, if you want to donate $5 million, which I don't think anybody would, but you never know, you're more than welcome to. If you want to even donate as little as $5, it's cool. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate your help. And you can actually make a donation through the following websites and also apps: PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. If you're doing it by PayPal and or Venmo, just go ahead and find our little tag name. Now, if you want to go ahead, what was I going to say? Okay, if you want to go ahead and donate via PayPal and Venmo, find me. The tag name is at Kim Hoang MD Actor, which is KIMHOANG MD ACTOR. You can do it that way. Cash App, you can actually donate by finding my tag name there. $, Kim Hoang MD Actor. That's again $, KIMHOANG MD ACTOR. Feel free to donate. We definitely would appreciate it. It would be incredible. Now, let's get to the real show notes, the real closing notes, if you will. The Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is on Facebook. You can go ahead and find us on Facebook by going over to the search box and type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. Please follow us, like, and subscribe to it. We definitely would appreciate it. We are on other social media platforms such as Instagram and Twitter, now known as X. And you can go ahead and follow us on our tag name at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. We are on 6 podcasting platforms now: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Now, here is the thing. Real quick, if you want to, and we ask very politely, please like and subscribe to our podcast on all of our podcasting platforms. If you have Spotify, please give us a 5-star ranking. And if you have Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review. Because the more times you actually do that, it's good for our podcast show. And there's going to be a higher chance that our podcast show will be thrown right into the front line. People will notice it, and somebody might say, oh, it's the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I remember that Regina told me about this podcast, and she said it's amazing. Maybe we should follow it, subscribe to it, and spread the word about it. Yes, yes, and yes. Please like the podcast show. Please subscribe to it on all the podcasting platforms, as I mentioned. And plus, share it with people. Whether if you want to tell your friends or your family members or your coworkers face-to-face in person, or if you want to spread it out through social media, through the Facebook, through the Instagram, through the Twitter, now known as X, through the Snapchat and the TikTok. It's brand awareness. Sharing is caring, man. It's good stuff. Last but not least, if you want to go ahead, if you want to send a question for our Q&A forum, if you want to be a guest host on our show, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you have any constructive criticism, email me. The Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, put it in the subject line. And whatever you have to write about in the email, just go ahead and write it. You know what I mean? I'll read it. It'll probably take about like a day or two, but I'll read it. And I actually enjoy that type of communication. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. It's been fun. I didn't think it was going to go so well like it did. And I'm very happy about that. Truly happy. I only ask that you guys please be safe out there, do the right things, and make sure that you're putting yourself in a very good position in life. It doesn't do us any good if you actually do something wrong that's risky and ill-advisable. Therefore, putting you in a permanent wooden pine box and getting buried 6 feet under. We don't want that for you. We want the best things to happen to you because we care about you, we love you, we want the best for you. And anybody that says otherwise, that you're not deserving of the success that you're trying to get, that they think you're going to fail and that you're not worth it, you can tell them to go kiss your butt. Let them know that you're not about that. You're about the positive energy and not the negative energy. And, you're just going to concentrate on what you need to concentrate on. Because life is too short, man. Life is too short. And we can't be in a world where we dog each other. We got to love each other. We got to really love one another and support one another. Because it's important. So I'm going to go ahead and go. I want to say thank you for your time and for your love and support. And just remember that this podcast is not my podcast. It's your podcast too. So as long as you want me to keep going and you feel like I'm doing a good job, I will keep going until the wheels fall off. But until then, I'm just going to steer the course, man, and just do my thing. That's just how I roll. So, that being said, for the one time here at the KU Dungeon over in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Shout out to my boy Sean Queen, because I love him. And he's a good dude, and once again, he supports everything that I do. Love him dearly. I want to say thank you to everybody, because I am your host, Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation. I appreciate all the love and support. I appreciate all the kind words, and we will do it again real soon. Please believe it, because it's not over until it's over. And I feel like in this 4th season of 2025, being that we are in the month that we are, still in the first quarter of 2025, I feel like we still have a lot to do. And we have a lot that we can build on and a lot to show people. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be wonderful. And as long as you guys are with me, it's going to be an amazing time. But I got to get going, guys. Be safe, be well, and I'll talk to you on the next one. All right, guys? It's been fun, but I'm out. Peace.